Well, let's join one of those groups, which is due to be a co-producer of the Tim's review, as Nick put it. The learning disabilities charity Mencap, its head of policy, Dan Scorer, joins me on the line now. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening.
What's your response to the announcement that was made today?
Well, we were very relieved last week when the government announced the significant concessions that all current claimants of PIP would be able to keep their benefit. That was hugely important. The announcement today is really very confusing, that we've got a review of PIP going on, but it's not going to include, the most significant change, which is going to come in next November, which will lead to hundreds of thousands of disabled people losing their access to PIP and the vital support it provides with the extra costs of being disabled. So that, to us, really is not a coherent position for the government to move forward with.
What does that mean then for your cooperation with the Tim's review?
Well, there may be some positive things that can come out of the review. At the end of the day, PIP is not a system that's functioning well. It's an incredibly demanding and distressing system for disabled people to go through. Getting PIP is not easy. It involves filling in a hugely complicated application form. It involves producing huge amounts of evidence. Many decisions are made very poorly and people have to go to tribunal to get those decisions overturned. So it's not a system that's functioning well. And of course, improvements to it can be made in terms of how it works for disabled people. But it is a fundamentally serious problem that the changes to entitlement, hundreds of thousands of disabled people today, were set out not to be part of that review process. And so that puts MPs in a very difficult position tomorrow.
Can you just explain that hundreds of thousands figure? Because the government is saying, people who currently claim PIP will not be affected in any way.
People currently claiming PIP won't be affected, that's right. But when the rules change next November, people who are making new claims for PIP will be assessed through those.
So just to be clear, that hundreds of thousands you're referring to, that's new claimants?
That is people in the future who will be making claims for PIP, new claims, who will be assessed under the new rules, which will be more difficult, more challenging them for them to actually get the points they need to actually qualify for PIP. And so hundreds of thousands of people between 2026 and 2030 will not be able to make a claim successfully for PIP and will lose that vital financial support.
Now, a point that Liz Kendall made in the Commons today is that it's not unusual for there to be two tiers to benefit system, that there are legacy recipients of certain benefits when new ones come in.
Well, systems do change, but people's needs aren't changing here. And so we're going to be in a situation where on one day someone would qualify for PIP with the needs they have, and the next day they won't. And there's no meaningful difference in terms of what people are experiencing, the barriers that they're experiencing, and the support they need with the additional costs of being disabled. So it feels like an absolutely arbitrary distinction, and that is the problem, that it is going to lead to 150,000 people being plunged into poverty.
But, judging by the numbers out there, possibly not enough of a problem for enough MPs to vote against this.
Well, I think MPs were very clear today when Liz Kendall did the statement in Parliament that they're extremely unhappy with the current situation, that the announcement of the review is not satisfactory in terms of the review reporting literally as all the changes in the bill start to come into force and we start to see people, new claimants, losing access to PIP. So it's a very confusing situation and not how we would want it to be.
Dan Scorer, head of policy with Mencap, thanks very much.